What if everything you thought you knew about the Brown family was a carefully edited lie? Behind deleted messages, hidden recordings, and off-camera explosions lies a truth so dangerous it could destroy Kody's image forever. Explosive leaks, secret money transfers, and raw confrontations, the kind TLC never wanted you to see, are beginning to surface. And when they do, the picture of a loyal patriarch and a united family may shatter in an instant. The Browns' darkest secrets aren't buried. They're ticking, waiting to explode. Hello, all. Welcome back to Reality Recap. March 5th, a day that could quite possibly have been just another box on the calendar, but rather became one which the Brown family will never be able to erase. Underneath the prepared smiles and pre-video edited confessionals is a reality that is too brutal for prime time. A son lost, and the questions that remain will never cease to reverberate. They've produced their accounts, scripted, redone, so the rough edges look smooth. Behind the camera, the timeline is another tale, one that was only told in the aftermath of disaster. Not to enlighten, but to manage. Janelle's voice, low and shaking, on the verge of cracking. They weren't there. Not for the procedure, not for him. And now they expect mercy. Forgiveness. But why? In quick shots, Kody's jaw clenches guardedly. Robyn's eyes glitter glassily, and Christine's gaze wanders miles off. Headlines flash by. Questions become louder, and one truth emerges. Nothing within this family happens without agenda. Producers spin it as reconciliation, Kody portrayed as reaching out with an olive branch to mend fences. But the footage was shot after Garrison's death, skillfully cut to look like it preceded it. It wasn't a breakthrough, it was acting. Underneath the layers of the narrative, Kody refers to grace, second chances, and love for his children. But practically all contact with Robyn's children occurs in the presence of she and with the older ones, rare conversations nearly always set up through their mothers. Aspen is 30 years old, and this was the first time she had ever talked to him without Christine. Why did his relationship with his kids always have to go through their mothers? Because until Robyn's kids came along, he never actually raised them. Not in so many words. And now even the other wives basically branded him a deadbeat dad. When he alluded to going to see Janelle's boys, fans presumed he meant Garrison and Gabe. But in reality, that encounter was probably with Hunter and Logan, because by that point Garrison had already died. The editing made that fact purposefully ambiguous. Flashbacks replay to when Kody demanded Janelle evict her sons. They were just 21. "I've given you everything you need," he said. A car, some advice before slamming the door in their faces. Janelle, worried about Garrison, shared her concern. He was distant, withdrawing, but Kody's attention was elsewhere. Not too much later, over the family dinner table, Garrison spelled it out clearly. "I purchased a home, got into school, obtained the car. I wanted the same one he told me not to get, and he has no idea because he cares not enough to know." Anyone who has ever seen a child bear the burden of an absent parent knows the pain in those words. Responsibility gone unfulfilled. No, Kody didn't kill Garrison single-handedly. Garrison was a grown man, juggling stress in the National Guard, potential alcohol issues, and demons that no one could see. But to imply years of Kody's emotional distance had absolutely nothing to do with it, that's a lie that only the most die-hard could accept. Even his so-called love for Robyn's kids isn't clean. They are pawns in a game of power where control takes precedence over love or care. Who actually thrives in polygamy? As the show is ever reminding us, plural marriage is not for all. And of the wives, Janelle appears to be the best naturally suited. She does not insist on constant attention. She does not fold into jealousy. She plans for the long term, Meri, controlling, bitter, Christine needy, jealous. Robyn, always the center, always the crown, always the priority. Janelle knew this life was what she signed up for. Independence is her shield. She gives in, complies when necessary, and is so busy her own desires seldom reach the surface. Robyn's reality, however, is the one TLC markets to audiences. sister-wives fantasy, late-night discussions, and common motherhood. But reality? She craved monogamy for advantages, favorite wife privileges, economic stability without the fight. Watch the vanity box scene closely. He's assembling furniture while calling her the shopper of the family, confessing openly, "I'm in love with Robyn." But what she gives back isn't love, it's strategy. She nurtures his ego, steers his focus, and ensures the money flows. And when his older kids inch back toward him, her bruised anger shows. Kody's perspective on lessons of divorce is based nearly wholly on Robyn's history. He says the same thing over and over. Women poison children against their fathers. He thinks so because he saw it happen to her ex. He never questioned her account, never talked to her ex, never inquired further. He claims to have screened her, but in fact, he only heard one side. In real life, his older kids' resentfulness has nothing to do with their mom's rumors. It is due to years of seeing him prioritize someone else's kids over them. And then the mid-season twist. This season's hiatus baffled viewers until you examine it more closely. It ran from February 2nd to April 20th, a hiatus that encompasses both Garrison's death and his birthday. A break in filming, perhaps to mourn, perhaps to buy time for producers to re-edit the storyline. Family dinners should feel warm, but in this household, awkwardness is the norm. Christine slipping into her second adolescence. Mike Kelty's sharp-edged humor. Aspen's silent eye rolls. It's all on display, sometimes entertaining, sometimes crossing into uncomfortable. And then come the lies of sacrifice. Perhaps the most bitter irony is when Kody says that he sacrificed for Christine. In reality, she did the work, the late nights, the babysitting, the glue that kept the family together. His idea of sacrifice, remaining in a marriage he said he never wanted. He pulls out the Nacho story over and over, embarrassing her for entertainment purposes. He even hired a therapist on their anniversary trip. He reminded her, as they parted, that he purchased everything in her apartment. His sacrifice was theater for the cameras. That notorious knife in the kidney speech. Not heartbreak. It was rage that Christine called off the deal. That the financial and emotional benefits he had bestowed upon her were dint a stum, that his dominance over the story was waning. And as the credits rolled, one thing was certain. The truth was never the tale we were told. What the cameras did not catch was a trend of whispered confessions, hushed regrets, the wives confessing in private moments that Kody's affection always had strings attached, obedience, admiration, and public show. Christine revealed how years of childcare, night shifts, and emotional labor never counted to him. He accounts every dollar I spent, every favor I performed, but never accounts for the hours I went without sleep with the kids, she whispers. Janelle, though, is constant, the quiet center of the tempest. Her strength isn't personality, it's survival. She understands the cameras capture one story, but the truth is hers to guard. And in this segment of the narrative, that truth is going to run smack into all the other people's delusions. Next, the hidden footage, the footage diehard fans have been speculating about for years. Dynamite battles that never aired, moments when Kody's stage mask breaks down, when Robyn's plotting, Janelle's tight-lipped reserve, and Christine's icy fury come crashing out into raw confrontation, crew members reportedly taken into police custody, explosive confrontations where the adult children stand him right on his head, Robyn manipulating events to her advantage. Money talks revealing contradictions in Kody's accusations. This isn't drama. This is the bedrock of the family's darkest secrets finally revealed. The wives' rivalries flare, Meri's domination, Christine's desperation, Robyn's manipulations, Janelle's steadiness, all exposed under pressure. Christine's desperation pushes against Robyn's ambition. Meri's jealousy fuels tension over favoritism. Robyn's tactics begin to unravel as her control meets resistance. And Janelle, she remains mostly silent, but her influence is quietly reshaping the room. Even small family gatherings are now battlegrounds. Smiles are masks, laughter is calculated, every glance carries weight. And then the children's point of view, long unaddressed by the show, limited, scripted, where absent is their interaction with Kody. Off camera, anger has been festering for years. Too raw to be broadcast on national television. Dramas that remind Kody what occurs when he's not around. Emotional scars slashed by performative parenting and overt favoritism. Aspen continues to observe silently, the ever-present witness, always gauging truth against performance. The money secrets surface too. Inconsistencies between what Kody publicly professes and the confidential figures. Moments when his sweeping assertions of deprivation conflict with hard realities. Robyn feeding his ego deliberately, gaining access to resources. The stakes are enormous, undermining the carefully constructed persona of Kody and Robyn, and then the confrontation no one anticipated. Cameras finally capture it, Kody in person with his grown kids. Anger is raised, fingers pointed. Years of favoritism, neglect, and drama come crashing all at once. You weren't there when it mattered. One kid cries out, the words echoing around the room. Kody attempts to justify himself, but the force of reality is too great. Even Robyn's perfectly maintained cool starts to fracture as her carefully crafted scheming runs into raw rebellion. Janelle remains on the periphery, her poise the only thing standing between anarchy and total disintegration. Then the fiscal bombshells. Secret files come to light, revealing egregious inconsistencies between Kody's claims and fact. Payments disputed, investments misstated. Evidence of times when Robyn manipulated Kody's ego for personal financial benefit. The stakes are as high as they can be. Viewers start to wonder if Kody has ever been truthful and if Robyn's motives were ever pure. The wife's power struggle peaks. Meri's jealousy erupts. Christine's intensity collides with Robyn's slyness, and Robyn's once masterful manipulation begins to fall apart. Janelle's rationality and adaptability keep her a step ahead, but tension simmers beneath her calm exterior. Every dinner, every conversation, every holiday. Now a chess match. Alliances form and collapse in real time, and viewers are left perched on the edge of their seats. The children start to talk adults now. Finally revealing their stories and laying bare years of stifled anger, confusion, and emotional abandonment. The missed opportunities by Kody in those key moments are exposed. The veneer of performative parenting that has structured their childhood dissolves, and the effects of overt favoritism on their sibling relationship can no longer be ignored. Aspen's down-to-earth view becomes the focus through which the chaos can be interpreted, the singular voice of reason in the tempest. Next is the unseen footage, intimate moments of manipulation, planning, and admissions that destroy the carefully glossed public persona. Throat-clearing arguments separated from past episodes finally come to light. The revelations do not merely stun. They retell all that fans believed they knew about the Browns. After these clashes, after the fireworks have died down, the family huddles into their respective corners, each of them attempting to make sense of what's just transpired. Kody is shaken, his carefully constructed persona disintegrating before our very eyes. Even Robyn, normally the icy one, starts to crack. I didn't think it would be this real, she says quietly, her tone laced with fear and anger. For the kids, however, there's relief. Years of repressed emotion have finally been voiced. Wounds remain, but there's a catharsis no one can deny. Then come the financial realities, long-kept records and unexplained transactions laid bare. Questions that once mentioned in hushed tones now require answers aloud. Kody's financial wants are probed, questioned, Robyn's strategic maneuvers revealed, demonstrating her intentional manipulation of him. Wives and children alike confront the lies, battling excuses and contradictions in tense exchanges. This is more than drama. It's an emotional reckoning, with consequences for trust, fidelity, and the very foundation of family harmony. 1349. The wives, too, reach a crossroads. Christine's fiery intensity meets resistance, forcing her to adapt. Meri's jealousy sparks moments of reflection, though the tension simmers on. Robyn recognizes her manipulations no longer have the influence they once did, and Janelle, as consistent as ever, keeps her cool, though even she is pushed, compelled to test her patience to the limit. The tenuous balance of the household is exposed now, and audience members witness the changing dynamics with increased tension. Meanwhile, the children claim their ground. No longer quiet bystanders, the adult kids begin establishing boundaries. They challenge the weight of the past, insisting on respect, communication, and accountability. "We're not going to pretend anymore," one declares. "The past is the past, but if we're going to have a future, things have to change." In that moment, a turning point is marked: a reclamation of voice and power by those once silenced. The lessons echo clear. Performative parenting scars for generations. Manipulation and control can only stretch so far before reality reasserts itself, and those who endure the dysfunction do so through resilience, patience, and self-awareness. Even Aspen, the quiet bystander, demonstrates the deeper truth: emotional intelligence and stable perspective are the only survival tools for a storm no camera could ever fully record. But secrets have a way of getting out. Rumors seep through. Gossip about not-seen scenes makes the rounds. Cast members, insiders, and old friends reveal the gap between what was seen on television and the way things really went down. Viewers understand the show's scripted rendition was merely a part of the truth. Behind-the-scenes footage reveals Kody shirking responsibility time and time again, Robyn diverting discussion to save face, and Janelle stoically, matter-of-factly, pulling contradictions out of people. The wars rage behind the scenes, the wives' conflict, their long-held complaints turning to the surface. The delicate balance of power falters. Christine battles to be heard and to direct the narrative about her children as well. Meri seethes, outshone and chafing with jealousy and repressed anger. Robyn dances carefully, attempting to remain in charge without explicitly going up against anyone, but her fissures start to develop. And Janelle's subtle but consistent influence realigns the loyalties, silently causing ripples within the family. Each conversation now has significance. Each glance is charged. And the kids will not remain silent. They establish boundaries, confronting directly the decisions that define their childhood. Favoritism and emotional neglect are spoken aloud. Kody's past behaviors analyzed step by step. Questions of inheritance, attention, and access to resources fuel angry debate. Aspen, still ever the voice of reason, quietly accruing facts and documentation ammunition that will determine how the family operates in the future. Financial scandal exposes even more contradictions. Real estate transactions, backroom deals, and covert agreements expose rampant financial entanglements that are far more complicated than ever before anticipated by viewers. Robyn's fiscal maneuvering is revealed, highlighting a pattern of long-term manipulation based on Kody's ego and their finances. Issues of fairness, transparency, and genuine intent behind key family decisions are brought to light. The stakes are no longer purely emotional. They're financial, determining allegiances, trust, and control in the future. The fallout starts. Hard realities shatter brittle family systems, and Kody's authority and credibility start to crumble. The wife's deeply rooted positions start to falter. At the same time, the adult offspring begin to align with each other, forming coalitions that threaten directly the old order. The balance of the household is held by a thread. The next confrontation can ignite irreversible transformation. Then there is the final confrontation. Secrets long suppressed, spoken only in hushed tones or edited out of the story, break into the light. Kody's favoritism and disdain are now recorded with irrefutable evidence. Robyn's manipulative schemes are at last revealed, her exploitation of Kody's ego as a tool to rule him and gain monetarily. And Janelle's subtle power is unmissable. She is the voice of sense amidst the chaos. Suspense intensifies. Each member of the family is compelled to confront realities they've evaded for decades. The delicate balance between wives is lost utterly. Christine and Robyn come into bitter conflict, frustration boiling over into wrath. Meri asserts herself, confronting not only Christine, but Kody as well, laying claim to her ground more assertively than ever before. Robyn tries to dodge, but her cracks are evident to everyone. Janelle, self-controlled but intentional, quietly steers the tone and specifics to her advantage, demonstrating the power of her subtle flexibility. Coalitions coalesce, break, and reform as power shifts irrationally under duress. Then the kids get a turn. asserted they bring the toughest critique so far. They complain of years of emotional abandonment, favoritism, and Kody's disappearing acts. His performative fathering and chronic failures are called out directly. Robyn's culpability in creating the family dynamic comes under direct scrutiny. This isn't drama, it's a turning point. For the first time, the kids take back their voices and the neat family facade starts to crumble. Financial and legal bombshells ensue. Contracts, property records, and transactions belie Kody's previous histories. Matters of inheritance, financial management, and secret transactions become battlegrounds of war. Robyn's financial maneuvers are put under the microscope, her master financial manipulation at last exposed. Kody's perpetual whining about sacrifice and equity are torn down brick by brick. The stakes? No longer just emotional. It's trust, money, and legacy, all of which hang by a thread. Then the emotional peak bursts, tears, rage, years of pent-up anger burst forth in one instant. Kody in the middle flogs to protect himself against multiple assaults by both his wives and children. Robyn's painstakingly crafted facade shatters her exposed vulnerability on tape as it has never been before. 2030. This is unvarnished, uncut drama, the kind that leaves the family and the viewers gasping. But the cycle continues. As from the very first seasons, Kody's parenting has been transactional. He spends his time where it earns him respect or improves his reputation. Robyn's children became the focus not only of his love, but of a fresh beginning where he could put himself forward as a devoted father. With the older children, the same cycle begins anew, distance, a quick reconciliation for the cameras, then distance once more. It was never healing, it was always image. Then a wife's silent withdrawal. Janelle has always been the stable one, not fighting for camera time or attempting to upstage anyone in confessionals, but Garrison's loss transformed her. Friends tell her she's icier now to Kody, watchful in her language, no longer willing to write off his antics as merely Kody being Kody. Her allegiance to Christine remains steadfast, but the two of them share a chilling epiphany. In this family, allegiance is always one way only. And what of the future of the series? TLC might try to stretch it out one more season, but insiders are muttering the cracks are too far gone to mend. Garrisonless, illusion-free, the show threatens to become a mere countdown to collapse. Even some crew members wonder if producers are already looking for an exit arc and exit strategy without having to depict Kody as the undisputable villain. But with social media, leaked raw footage, and members of the family themselves speaking out, it might be impossible to control the finale. One phrase sticks. A solitary minute of sound recorded on an open mic. Kody, out of frame, says they'll forgive me. They always do. A line tossed off, never intended for an audience. But for anyone who's lived through the past 10 years, it sounds like the entire tale condensed not love, not loyalty, but privilege. A sense of perpetual second chances. If this is what family looks like on camera, what happens when the cameras cut away? Because often the real shock isn't in what's shown, it's in what's hidden. Files we've never seen, conversations whispered in kitchens, parking lots and cars, away from any microphones, texts, some deleted, some still preserved, that could expose exactly who knew what and when. Why did that mid-season break actually occur? Who instructed the editing to have Garrison's death following the scripted reconciliation plot? Was it TLC's decision, or did Kody and Robyn insist upon it? And the toughest reality of them all, how many times does one man have to fail before his children no longer take his calls? Leaks from within production indicate unseen footage is available, sneak peeks of vicious fights between Kody and his elder children, Robyn shutting down their hurt, others grieving. Blazing, cash-fueled battles that, if they ever emerged, would break Kody's image within hours. The clock is already ticking. For Janelle and the children, anniversaries reopen the wound, fury and grief entwined, and with each new season, another family member emerges. More voices contradict the official narrative. The Browns might believe they hold their story, but power holds for only as long as the weakest secret remains hidden. And in this family, secrets have a way of escaping. End card tease, the lost episode, the receipts TLC refused to air, the war that tore the family apart for good, and why the truth may finally break loose, whether Kody likes it or not. That lost episode was previously in the mix, foreshadowed in production teasers, hinted at in interviews, and then poof gone.